She wants you, but not in the way you think. She wants your attention, your pursuit, your energy, only so she can take it away when it matters most. Not because she's cruel, not because she's playing some twisted game, but because there's something deeper happening beneath the surface. Something even most men never fully understand. And I get it. You don't want to believe she's doing this on purpose. You tell yourself, she wouldn't lead me on just to push me away. You want to believe her intentions are good, that maybe she's just confused, or uncertain, or going through something, and the truth is, you're probably right. This isn't about malice. It's about psychology, about power, about validation. See, most women don't consciously decide to make you chase them just to reject you, but it happens anyway. Because in a world flooded with attention, certainty no longer feels exciting. Distance does. And often the pull and release isn't intentional, it's instinctive, emotional reinforcement. A loop of control and insecurity playing out in real time. So in this video, I'm going to break it down for you, calmly and clearly. In part 1, we'll explore why she was so warm in the beginning, only to turn cold the moment you showed genuine interest. In part 2, I'll give you a visual breakdown, a deeper look into why she wants you to chase her, and why the rejection was never really about you. And in part 3, I'll show you exactly how to respond, not with reaction, but with grounded presence, not with anger, but with clarity, because once you understand this pattern, you stop playing her game, and you start writing your own. So before we begin, take a moment. If you value truth spoken from stillness, if you're ready to stop chasing what was never meant to stay, then like this video and subscribe to Stoic Station. This isn't about getting her back, it's about getting yourself back. Now, let's dive in. Part 1. Why she was warm, then turned cold. In the beginning, she made you feel alive. The way she smiled at your jokes, responded to your texts instantly, and seemed genuinely invested, it all felt real. For a brief moment, you believed something meaningful was unfolding. But then, without explanation, her warmth faded. The laughter turned into silence. Her attention drifted. And what once felt like connection now feels like confusion. Here's the reality no one prepares you for. Reason number 1, her interest shifted toward someone else. In today's dating landscape, this isn't uncommon. Women are rarely emotionally focused on one man, not because they're heartless, but because they're surrounded by constant attention. Whether through social media, dating apps, or everyday encounters, she's never short on validation. The modern world has made it incredibly easy for her to receive compliments, invitations, and emotional stimulation without ever having to pursue it. You may have started as the man she was most curious about. But curiosity fades when another man offers a stronger pull, maybe more mystery, more challenge, more novelty. And once that shift happens, her energy follows. It's not about you lacking something, it's simply emotional economics. Where her emotions feel the highest return, that's where she invests. And if you happen to be guy number 3 or 4 in her invisible rotation, you were always temporary. You were never the main character, just part of the supporting cast until the real plot captured her attention. That's a painful realization, but it's also freeing, because the man who thrives in this world isn't the one who tries harder to win her back. It's the one who knows he doesn't have to compete in a race he never signed up for. Reason number 2. She likes your attention more than she likes you. This one stings differently. Sometimes the issue isn't that you weren't attractive or interesting, it's that your presence served a different purpose, to remind her she's desirable. Every message you sent, every compliment you gave, every time you showed up for her, it filled her emotional tank, not because she wanted to build something with you, but because she wanted to feel wanted. You became the mirror reflecting her beauty, her worth, her power. She kept you close, not for connection, but for confirmation. Your energy became her safety net. And the tragedy? You offered it all freely, thinking you were building a bond, when in truth you were just keeping her emotionally entertained. But once you recognize this pattern, once you understand that she may crave attention more than actual intimacy, you reclaim your power. You stop confusing access with affection. You stop mistaking responsiveness for interest. And most importantly, you stop offering your energy to someone who only values the way you make her feel, not the man you truly are. The truth hurts, but the truth also heals. And when you stop chasing the illusion, you begin attracting what's real. Part 2. How she keeps you around just for attention. She doesn't block you. She doesn't unfriend you. She doesn't formally end whatever you had going on. No closure, no final words. Instead, she leaves the door cracked open, just enough for you to wonder, just enough for you to wait. Because she's not ready to let go of the attention, not yet. And here's where it gets strategic. She doesn't reach out to reconnect. She reaches out when she senses your absence. When you stop texting, when you stop watching her stories, when your name stops appearing in her notifications, that's when she throws the bait. It could be something small, a random like on your post, a reply to your story with a laughing emoji, a short, meaningless, "Hey, how've you been?" These gestures are rarely accidental. They're subtle hooks, carefully timed, and to you, they seem harmless, maybe even hopeful. Because as a man who values genuine connection, you interpret effort as intention. But it's not intention, it's instinct, an emotional reflex. She doesn't throw the bait because she wants to fix what broke between you. She throws it because your distance triggered her need for validation. Your silence disrupted the comfort of having someone there, someone who noticed, who cared, who responded. And so, she checks to see if the tap still works. She sends out just enough signal to pull you back in, but not enough to meet you in the middle. And what happens when you take the bait? You reply, you lean in, you start to feel hopeful. Maybe she's changed her mind. Maybe she's realized what we had. Maybe this means something. But it rarely does. Because the moment you re-engage, the moment you show her she still has access to your attention, she pulls away again. Cold, silent, distant. Not because you did something wrong, but because this was never about building something real. It was about control. It was about reassurance. You see, the attention game was never about you. It was always about her emotional supply. She wants to be chased, not caught. She wants to be desired endlessly, but not chosen with certainty, because being chosen requires vulnerability, commitment, intimacy. And that's not what she's after. What she wants is power, the kind that comes from knowing someone is always out there, still waiting, still hoping, still reaching. When she feels that power slipping, when your energy starts to drift, she hits reset. She gives you a taste, just enough to reel you back into orbit. And once she knows you're emotionally available again, she retreats, back into silence, back into her world, because she didn't miss you. She missed the feeling of being missed. This creates a cycle that's incredibly hard to break, especially for a man who's emotionally sincere. Because it feels like love, it feels like longing, it feels like you're getting closer, but what you're really doing is being pulled back into a loop where your attention fuels her confidence while your needs remain unmet. The most difficult part to accept is that many women don't even realize they're doing this. It's not always malicious, it's often unconscious. A habit formed by years of receiving validation from men who never required emotional accountability in return. To her, your attention is like a safety net, Something she can fall back on when things with guy number one get quiet. Something she can lean on when she's feeling insecure. You become the backup battery, always charged, always ready. But here's what changes everything: awareness. When you become conscious of the pattern, you begin to recognize the difference between affection and attention-seeking, between genuine effort and strategic breadcrumbs. And you start asking better questions, not about her behavior, but about your boundaries. Do you want to be someone's emotional safety net? Or do you want to be met with the same energy you give? The answer determines your next move. If she reaches out, if she throws the bait, and you respond with clarity instead of emotion, the dynamic shifts. Because when you stop reacting to breadcrumbs, you stop being predictable. When you stop feeding the cycle, you start freeing yourself from it. It's not about being cold or cruel. It's about protecting your energy from a loop that was never built to nourish you. And when you stop showing up just to make someone else feel seen, you start making space for someone who will actually see you. So no, you're not being unreasonable. You're being wise. You're no longer willing to chase someone who only wants to feel powerful, not present. And when you stop being fuel for someone else's ego, something beautiful happens. You return to your own fire. And that is the moment the game ends. Because the man who walks away from being used for attention is the same man who walks straight into his self-respect. Part 3. How to respond to her baiting strategy. This is the moment of truth. The moment that separates reaction from response, impulse from intention. When a boy sees a message and jumps, hoping for meaning, hoping for love, he's reacting. But when a man receives the same message, pauses, and chooses a response that serves his clarity and self-respect, he's moving from power, not need. Because this is the turning point, not just in your dynamic with her, but in the story you're writing for yourself. If she reaches out, don't waste time over-analyzing. Don't lose yourself in the spiral of what does it mean. It doesn't matter how flirty or casual the message seems. The content isn't as important as your clarity in response. That clarity begins with one simple step. You invite her out. Not as a test, not as a performance, but as a way to bring things into the real world. Because interest without action is just noise. If she's genuinely interested, she'll welcome the invitation. She'll say yes, maybe with excitement, maybe with curiosity, but with openness nonetheless. But if she hesitates, if she dances around the idea, if she gives you soft rejections like, "I'm super busy this week," or "maybe another time," you don't need to press further. She's telling you everything. That vagueness isn't mystery, it's misalignment. That reluctance isn't protection, it's deflection. And the moment you see it for what it is, you stop needing to guess. You acted with direction. She responded with confusion. That contrast holds the only truth you need. Because here's the truth most men never realize. The woman who truly wants to see you will. No delays, no excuses, no breadcrumb trails. Real desire is clear. Game playing is not. And when she plays games, hoping to keep you spinning, hoping you'll stay in orbit just a little longer, the only winning move is this. Don't play. It's like sitting at a slot machine. You pull the lever. Nothing. You pull it again. Still nothing. But then, a small win. Just enough to make your heart race. Just enough to convince you to stay. And so, you keep pulling, chasing that feeling. But the odds are never in your favor. The house always wins, because the house knows what it's doing. It gives you just enough to keep you hooked, never enough to let you walk away satisfied. That's the emotional game she's playing when she throws out bait and never truly meets you halfway. She offers you just enough attention to keep your hope alive, but never enough intimacy to let your heart rest. So what's your move? You stop pulling the lever. You stop feeding a machine that was never built for your fulfillment. You step away, not in anger, not in silence that hides resentment, but in full awareness of your worth. You walk away calmly, quietly, without announcement, without drama. You don't slam the door, you simply close it and keep walking. Not to punish her, but to protect yourself. Not because you're bitter, but because you're done being baited into a role you never asked to play. The man who refuses to chase what doesn't choose him doesn't lose anything. In fact, he gains everything. He gains time. He gains peace. He gains the space to be seen by someone who doesn't throw bait, but extends a hand. Someone who doesn't test his value, but recognizes it. This isn't about winning her back. This is about winning yourself back. Because the man who stops playing her game becomes the man who sets his own, not by chasing harder, but by walking away from anything that asks him to beg for clarity, worth, or love. And in doing so, he doesn't just reclaim his power, he reclaims his future. I've lived through the silence, the slow fade, the unanswered texts that used to be met with enthusiasm. I know what it's like to sit in confusion, wondering how someone who once seemed so warm, so invested, could suddenly become distant without reason. And for a long time, I internalized it. I thought I did something wrong, that I needed to prove myself, that maybe if I just said the right thing or waited patiently, she'd come back to who she was in the beginning. But here's the truth, she never changed. She simply stopped pretending. The reality is hard, but liberating. Women, especially in today's attention-driven world, are constantly surrounded by validation. Social media, dating apps, and a steady stream of options mean she never truly has to choose. She just needs to keep her options open. And if you're not the one offering the most stimulation, the most novelty, the most mystery, she doesn't end it. She doesn't walk away with honesty. She just lets the connection wither while keeping the door slightly open, just in case she needs your attention again. That's where many men get trapped. We confuse attention with connection. We mistake breadcrumbs for affection. And worst of all, we hope, because we remember who she was, not who she's showing us now. She doesn't want you to move on. She wants to know you're still there, available, interested. And when your energy starts to drift, she throws out the bait. A like, a text, a reminder that she still sees you, but only when she needs to feel seen herself. It's not always out of malice. Sometimes it's unconscious, but that doesn't make it any less damaging. And the hardest part? Many of us are good men. We respond because we care. We want clarity, not games. But the truth is, when someone keeps pulling you back just to reject you again, they're not confused, they're in control. If she truly values you, she'll move toward you, consistently, openly, without making you guess. If she reaches out, don't romanticize it. Invite her out. See if her intentions match her actions. And if she hesitates, if she dances around your directness, that's your answer. You don't need to chase a woman who can't choose you. You don't need to stay emotionally available to someone who only sees you as a backup battery for her self-worth. Because your time, your energy, your attention, they're currency. Stop spending them on people who only want to borrow your value, not build something with you. Stop reacting. Start responding with intention. Don't let the illusion of what was blind you to what is. Protect your peace like it's sacred, because it is. You don't owe anyone endless chances to disrespect your time, your effort, or your emotional sincerity. If she plays games, don't play along. Set your own terms. And if the only way to win is to stop playing, then walk away, calmly, quietly, with your dignity intact. Because the man who no longer chases what doesn't serve him becomes the man who attracts what's real, not by shouting louder, but by growing quieter, not by fighting harder, but by choosing peace. This isn't about being bitter, it's about being awake. And once you're awake, you'll never again settle for breadcrumbs. when you know you were always meant for the feast. And that brings us to the end, gentlemen. If something in this message struck a chord, if it made you pause, reflect, or finally see your situation with new eyes, then let that awareness guide your next step. Because awareness is where transformation begins. Most men spend years chasing clarity through confusion, giving their energy away to people who never intended to value it. But you're not most men, not anymore. You've seen how the game works. You've felt the silence after the attention fades. You've lived through the questions that never got answers. And now you know the truth. Real strength doesn't chase, it chooses. It stands still when everything around it tries to pull it off center. So if this resonated with you, if you're ready to keep walking this path of emotional clarity, self-respect, and quiet power, then take a moment, like this video, subscribe to the channel. This is Stoic Station, a place for men who are done playing roles, done performing, and ready to lead their lives with calm, confident intention. Thank you for being here. I'll see you in the next one. And until then, protect your peace, trust your worth, and remember, what chooses you will never make you chase.